Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited to be here to be talking about the Loveuary movies from Hallmark. Happy Loveuary.
Happy love you,
Yeah.
Ari.
And I, film critic Rachel Wagner, and Sari Cohen is here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
excited. Oh my gosh. And this is my favorite genre. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's interesting because they've had pretty good Loveuaries. I mean, last year they did Jane Austen month, which was way better than I thought it was going to be. But I would say that this was a very strong offering from Hallmark.
absolutely.
I liked all four of these movies.
Yeah, they were strong. They were very strong. I told you I have my list there, but yeah, very, very happy
That's not
with
that
them.
common for me to say that I like every single movie of a month. Usually there's one stinker in there, but I don't know. I mean, I found all of these to be extremely watchable.
Yes. Yeah, you started me off on a good path
Yeah.
when when we were originally talking about them, and I was like, okay. And yeah, I felt like they were really strong. There were a couple that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
Like I would
Yeah.
say, two at the top and then
Yeah.
two that came in a little bit below, but strong, but strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, none of them were painful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's good.
Which, I mean, January there was some pain. There was some pain. So I'm grateful.
Love should never be painful,
No.
Rachel.
Yes. I mean, did you have an just overall in your Loveuary in your February? Did you have a good month?
I did. It flew
Yeah.
by. It totally
Yeah.
flew by. It was kind of a little bit of a wild month.
Yeah.
Probably, we could always use more love. So I feel
It
like,
it was crazy. What a month. I don't think I've ever seen more just content in my life than in February. I saw and reviewed 20 live productions in February.
whoa.
And yeah, which is wild. And I saw 11 movies at the cinema
Oh my goodness.
in in just February.
What was the rush? What do you think was like the
It was
big
just, I
push?
think, I don't know. I mean, it's just everybody wanted me to see their shows. Like the post holiday, like January wasn't as big because it's like people are finished the holiday shows, and then there's like a couple of weeks before the starting of the spring shows, and then it's just like everybody in February. But and even well, movies, four of those were at Sundance. So uh
Oh.
but still, yeah, just busy, 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 busy.
Yeah, good. Busy's good. No, we've had a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
strange 2025. I mean, things slowed down around the holidays and then the fires happened and that
yeah. Oh yeah.
that shut everything down. So things really didn't start to pick up until like later in this month. And it did. I had probably like the last week or two of
Uh-huh.
February. I'm looking at my calendar right behind. The last week or two of February, I hit like countless bucket list interviews. I gotta tell you,
Oh
like
yeah.
classic uh, music.
What was your biggest interview?
That's a hard one. I did, I mean, everything from like No Address, which dealt with like the homelessness,
Uh-huh.
and it was Billy Baldwin and Ashanti.
Oh
And then there was the Movie Guide Awards. So
yeah.
I got to speak with, oh my gosh, Gary Sinise again. I got to
Oh
reconnect
wow.
with him after last time I'd interviewed him was before COVID. It was right before COVID,
Uh-huh.
last interview before COVID. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a special moment
Yeah.
there. And then the list goes on. Anthony
Yeah.
Michael Hall, I got to talk to for Reacher. It has been an absolutely wild.
Yeah.
David Duchovny, I got to talk to.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
lot. There was a lot. February was very exciting in that
Yeah,
department.
if people want to watch these interviews, where do
Yeah.
they go for 'em?
So Hollywood First Look, we air every weekend, but then the interviews will go up on our YouTube and Awards Buds, of
Uh-huh.
course. Abe,
Yeah.
my editor, God bless him, he's rolling out.
Yeah.
videos left and right. So there's new stuff up daily.
We didn't have that many interviews so far this year because I think partly because of the fire, because
Mhm.
I think people just weren't doing a lot of PR, you know. But we did do two sort of junkets with Way Home. We did with the main cast and then one with the young cast, the teen cast. So that was super fun to talk to them. And really that's kept me busy as far as the podcast is covering because we've had All Creatures Great and Small. We've had The Way Home, and we've had One Calls the Heart, all coming back. So that's been busy.
So good. This is such
Yeah.
good. This is like all my favorite things. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
oh. So exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Let's talk about these movies
Yes.
and see what we thought. So the
Yes.
first one, An Unexpected Valentine. This was on the first. A chance encounter on Valentine's Day bring Hannah and Finn together as they race through New York City to return a lost engagement ring and save one couple's special day. And this is director Michael Robinson, writers Nicole Baxter and Jennifer Barrow, and it stars Lacey Chabert, Robert Buckley. What do you think of this one?
This was my number one spot.
Yeah, number one.
This was
Yeah.
an unexpected surprise. I didn't know that I was going to love it as much as I did. I thought it
Yeah.
was super charming. I love Lacey. I think she's so adorable in this.
Yeah.
I fell for their connection immediately.
Yeah.
I loved I loved it. I thought it was
Yeah.
great. It was like it was a great meet cute. It was um adorable all the way
Yeah.
through. It kept a good pace and of course it had a beautiful ending. My favorite Hallmark love story of the month.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. When I saw the preview for this, I thought this is going to be completely banter dependent, and writer Nicole Baxter, she has been extremely inconsistent in her Hallmark movies, but this is one of her good ones. This is one of her better ones, and I think that she was able to keep it hopping, keep the banter back and forth, and so you weren't like nitpicking it. You didn't really care. I mean, this person, the idea that you could park in all these unloading zones is absolutely insane. Like you would have like
I mean, you
ridiculous.
kind of have
I
to
mean,
throw reality
fi-
out the window for
finally by the end he gets booted. I'm like, yeah, that would have happened so long
the police escort, the whole there were definitely moments in
yeah,
there you're like,
ridiculous. But
okay.
and also nobody in their right mind would ever buy a chocolate purse as the most ridiculous like product. Nobody would want a chocolate purse. Nobody would buy a chocolate purse. It's a terrible idea. So that
Maybe candy, but no to chocolate.
no,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
want it because like if your purse like you need to get in it. You need to search around. You need to like you don't want it to be chocolate.
No, they would have to have some kind of enclosure. I mean, there's a whole
Yeah,
design that would
nobody
go
would buy
into that.
it.
But it's not, yeah, it's not practical, that's for sure.
But it doesn't matter because these two leads are so charming. They had such nice chemistry together. We'd never seen them working together, so it was nice to see Lacey with somebody new,
Mhm.
that was fun. And I think it did a good job of monopolizing off of Lacey's just inherent likability and sweetness,
Yes.
with
Yes,
the
absolutely.
script.
She's so charming in
Yeah.
this. She herself is easy to fall in love with. I mean, within seconds when she's on screen, you do immediately like her character. She is sweet like chocolate.
Yeah.
And yeah, the two leads, yeah, you're right. The way they played off of each other was just like that is the perfect recipe. Not
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So they find this engagement ring in the car. And so then they start trying to backtrack and find everybody who used the car that day, the Uber car, and that's how they kind of get on this adventure. And she gets car sick. That's how it was very clever because they had to have a reason to get her up into the front seat because that would be weird to have this whole thing, with her in the back. So that was very smart of them to write in, okay, like specifically, I get car sick, so I'm going to move up to the front.
hmm Yeah,
And
and there was the whole thing of like, I mean, obviously with it being Valentine's Day, there was this whole thing about her thing with she's got this problem with love, you know, she's
yeah,
got this like she loves love, but also, so you could when she got in the car around the other couple, she was uncomfortable.
yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
there's this whole idea that she's like not authentic in her life because not only does she make these horrible purses, but she can't even eat chocolate. She doesn't even like it. And here she is like doing these campaigns and trying to sell people on chocolate. And so that was a smart move as well,
hmm
to kind of give her that she's not like living authentically.
Definitely.
And there are lots of cute little scenes along the way, like they make heart-shaped pizza and then they go dancing. And I think they probably spent 80% of the budget getting the Love Shack, that song.
I thought about that too. I was like, that is quite a song to have
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
No, what I loved about it too is like in it they're encountering other couples or other people who have different love stories. So it's not
yeah,
just their I mean, it is about ultimately their love story, which like by the end you're like, "Come, just kiss her already. Like, what
yeah.
are you waiting for? You know, it's so obvious.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
meant to be together. Stop beating around the bush. Just get together. It's
Yeah.
Valentine's. I mean,
I
they
mean,
could
at
have
least
figured
it
it out at
was
the beginning.
it was their first day together, so it kind of
Yes.
makes sense. But
Yes, but it's so, I mean, it was so romantic.
it's
And I
cute.
did like, yeah, like they went, you saw the couple and the single woman who were in the car at the beginning and like
Yeah,
kind of their stages where they're at with dating and then the older couple and you get all these other love stories that they're influenced by and they're forced to take a greater look at their own love lives and what
yeah,
they want and it was I thought that was really sweet. And watching the two of them play off of the other couples was fun too. It
yeah.
was
I
good.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed that too. Here's a question. So you live in Los Angeles, major
Mhm,
city.
mhm.
Um, how much do you think it would cost to bribe a bouncer into a club? $20? No way.
Yeah, I would, it's been a while since I've done that, but I'm gonna go with because inflation is so high, at least 50, if not 100.
Yeah, no way 20.
I don't think 20 I mean, who knows? Times are hard, so he could be like,
Yeah, that was funny to me. And these various activities took like incredibly short amounts of time. Like the amount they were able to do, which was funny. Like that whole you're supposed to believe that whole pizza making activity took 18 minutes. 18 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
that I don't think the pizza would even be cooked.
Yeah, no, they would have in real life, they would have a very hard time
Yeah.
fitting everything into. I mean,
Yeah.
just imagine traveling from one part of town to the other. You know how long
Oh,
that's
yeah,
going to
forget it.
take?
Yeah.
You know, you'll be in traffic all day.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and in New York now, you don't even. It's not only you get fined for parking in loading zones, but even just driving in some places in New York now,
New York is,
you will pay a toll, which is
yeah,
wild.
New York is the worst. And
Yeah,
traffic is the worst.
wild.
It
Yeah,
will, if you are getting in a car to go anywhere, you're better off walking. It's,
yeah.
it's,
But
yeah.
they were cute. Like I really liked the line when she says, "When you spend a lot of time in a car with someone, it speeds up the connection." So the script was like kind of aware of the tropes that it was using, which I liked.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, like I said, this was my number one. I was pleasantly surprised by it.
I also liked when Lacey is the model for that drawing class.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a fully clothed model for a drawing class. Only in Hallmark, which
Only in Hallmark.
was
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
But then he takes the photo of the older couple, and like there's this whole sort of like she is not living her truth because she's marketing chocolate and she doesn't like chocolate, and he isn't like taking the photos that he dreams of taking. He's
Mhm.
taking like the ones that he thinks people want. And it made me laugh the fact that he's a photographer because they're like if you're creative in a Hallmark movie, you're a photographer. Like there are no other creative arts. Almost, I mean, every once in a while you'll have maybe a painter or something, but
A
very rare.
chef. Yeah.
Very maybe a chef, yeah, if that's
Yeah.
considered creative art. But photographers. I mean, Lacey has played a photographer. Everybody's a
And
photographer.
chocolate. I have to tell you, chocolate has also been a reoccurring theme.
Yeah.
So, they're like, oh, photographer, chocolate, love story
Yeah, I mean,
together.
even Lacey was in Love, Romance, and Chocolates.
Mhm.
With Will Kemp. That's one of my that one I really love. But yeah, there's this whole thing of like, are you living true to your photography?
Yeah, yeah. And it
Yeah,
started off at the beginning with like the people who buy your art really want to know who they're buying it from. Like they want to know who you are as a
yeah,
photographer. So it is, yeah, it is. I do like it because they are on these like self-exploration. It is self-exploration for both of them, but they get to do it together and then realize
yeah,
a couple they would
yeah.
be. Yeah.
And they end up working at a food truck
Yeah.
at a certain point. Because the lady's like, oh, I'm gonna miss Valentine's or something, and they're like, well, we can help. And like they have literally have no experience with this truck at all. Like how in the world? But she's like, sure.
That part, yeah, that part was a
It
little
was
bit
really
because it was
funny.
like they're already doing so much work to find
There,
the person, like whoever is supposed to like give and receive this ring, and they're just
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, I'll jump in. This seems like a great cause too. We can get behind. I'll jump in this food truck. It's like you already have
Yeah.
a busy day, and you're already
It was
doing quite
really,
a
it was
lot
just
for
really funny
others.
to me. It was just really funny to me how quickly this lady was like, sure, run my cart, like
Yep,
it made
yep,
me laugh.
yep.
Um, but I did like the whole moment when they're dancing in the street.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
there were
nice.
some good moments, and yeah, the of course the ending, at least
Yeah, because then he remembers, oh my gosh, there was somebody who came in my car but wasn't an actual fare, was in the wrong car. And so he's like, oh, maybe it's that person. But he remembered where the person was going. And so then they go and they find this guy. He's like super nervous about proposing. And they give him the ring and he ends up proposing at like right when the fireworks are going off, which was fun. Yeah.
yeah, he spends the entire day being inspired by other people's love stories, and then
Yeah.
he's getting these like perfect photograph moments all throughout, and then at the end, like she's really the moment. So it's like he's
Yeah,
photographing the couple, but then looks at her smile, and it's
it's
like,
cute.
yeah, it was
And
very
they're both missing like big business things in
Mhm.
order to do this, to help this person. And I mean, that's like so classic Hallmark,
Yeah.
because business is bad. Business
Business
is
is
bad,
bad.
and they come to realize that what really matters, of course, is love. And so then they separate, and she's like, wait a minute. And she goes and she finds him, and he says, he gives her this candy ring pop. Will you go on a date with me? Which was cute.
So sweet.
Yeah, that
It,
was
it
really,
was
really cute.
I like the message love over money. I mean, that's
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
good. It's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
And it reminded me of one of my favorite classic Hallmark movies. It's called The Nanny Express with Brendan Elliott. And in that movie, that's the end. He brings her flowers and he says, will you go on a date with me?" And it's really cute.
Mhm.
So this one, out of 5 crowns, how much would you give it?
I mean, definitely my highest rated of the bunch. I would say probably a four, maybe
Yeah, I
four
think
and
a
a half.
four. Yeah, it's
It's
not like an
pretty
all
high for me.
timer,
No, but
know.
out of the bunch,
Yeah,
I really liked it.
it was really cute. It was really
Yeah.
cute.
We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast, the delightful new novel by Melody Carlson, Welcome to the Honey B&B. Award-winning author Melody Carlson presents a charming contemporary novel of family, humor, and new beginnings. Jewel McCary returns to the family farm to help her aging parents to turn the old farmhouse into a charming bed and breakfast. But juggling her dad's dementia, an old flame, and troublesome neighbors is not what she had in mind when she uprooted her life. Pick up Welcome to the Honey B&B for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com.
Okay, so next we have the wish swap. And this is when Casey and Henry celebrate their birthdays at the same restaurant. They make birthday wishes at the same time, which are granted. However, they end up getting each other's wishes. So this stars Emily Tennant, Jake Foy, Matt Hamilton, and director David L. Strasser, writer Betsy Morris. So what did you think of this one?
This was my least favorite.
Yeah, okay,
This was
okay.
my least favorite. And ironically, I had high hopes for it. I
Mm,
was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I thought it was a little too contrived for me. Like I was expecting something more of like, okay, we already know what's going to happen. We already and I think it kind of lost me at like, I mean, I'm sure we'll go over it, but
yeah.
whole wish number three thing. And I was like, this is just at this point, you've gone overboard. Like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
supposed to be together. All she wants is love. It's with him. Like
Yeah.
I just felt like they dragged on that relationship dragged on so much. They knew they wanted to be together from the first scene, and it was like they were just skirting over the issue of like they should have been together. It was like, let's not talk about how we feel. Let's just keep,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just there was
Yeah.
a lot of things that were missing from it for me.
I liked it, but I also think that it doesn't really do anything that fun with the premise. I think it's pretty much just a like dancing movie. It's really a like if you cut out that beginning and end, it would just be like your standard Hallmark movie. We don't, we are dancing together and we end up falling for each other because of the dancing. Like it really didn't like if you ever have you ever seen The Birthday Wish?
Yeah.
I love that. It's one of my all-time favorites of Hallmark.
Yeah.
And in that one, like the wish, like fundamentally starts to change her because she's seen her life in a whole new way. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm with this other person, and this person I haven't even thought of is here, and he's, and she starts to think about, well, what do I want as far as family and life and kids and everything. So it's just more interesting. Whereas this, like the wish was like completely uh the the wish didn't matter at all to the story.
Yeah, I think it's such a cool concept. I love the idea of the wish swap.
Yeah.
It's very Freaky Friday. It's got, there's a lot of like body switch movies that kind
Yeah,
of,
Your Name.
huh?
Your Name,
Hmm.
one of my favorite movies. Like they could have explored like some interesting things with gender, I think. Like if you had like he really wants to be this successful like manly farmer, right? And she wants to be this dancer. And so like if they flip wishes and all of a sudden she's like really into more masculine things, he's more into feminine things, like he's prancing around the barnyard, like that could have been
That could have
funny.
been funny. I mean, even like their motivation. Again, I felt like they were skipping over the key parts from the beginning. The second they sat down in that restaurant, he liked her, she liked him. They were both
Yeah,
very obviously like bad at relationships or not involved because work was important and work was
yeah,
important. And then their wishes and their desires get flipped, which is great, but
yeah,
it
but
just
it could have
also,
been funny if like all of a sudden she's eating like steak and
yeah.
like like going to axe throwing, like just whatever, like you lean into some of those cliches, some
Yes.
of those stereotypes, but like there really just was nothing with the wishes were like they just didn't do anything with the wishes. It was
Yeah.
just a dance movie.
Yeah.
Like, and
There
so
was
I had like fun with it on that level. I love both of these leads. I think they were great.
The leads are great. Yeah, that the leads are great. I mean, I think that's probably part of why the leads in the storyline, I think I expected to enjoy it a little bit
Uh-huh.
more. But
Yeah.
yeah, just even as it went on because it's like it's not just one wish. It turns out she's got three. And he's
Yeah.
helping her, she's helping him. They should have realized early on that they were meant to be together because, yeah, at the heart of all of it, they both really want love. And they were both aware of that. And they were both aware that they liked each other. So the fact that
Yeah.
that was ignored the whole time, and then she gets so upset at the end because he peeked at her third wish, which was
Yeah,
really
which was ridiculous.
for him. And it was like, but
Yeah.
not for him. And it was like, but
Well, her third wish was to fall in love. And so
but even as she's telling him that though, like the scene that she's telling him that, I'm like, but you're already in love with, what are you doing? We're
yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there were I saw some funny scenes like when she's scared of the goats. I would also be scared of goats. So I liked that. I also liked the secondary relationship between Charlotte and Peter. They're like little flirting. That was fun.
Yes.
They're like, "Oh, were you on a date?" Yeah, we were on a date. Like they were cute, I thought. Um and yeah, they have like a big fight. Wishing for love can't make it real. Oh.
Well, what are you doing? You're basically living with the
Yeah.
guy. And it's obvious you both like each other.
Yeah.
You've already, you
I
know.
mean, and being in this kind of dance competition would literally be my nightmare. Like I would not do as well as he does. But yeah, also it was like a strange thing that they were all kind of like, can he lasso or not? I'm like, he's a cowboy. Of course he, like I wouldn't think that that would be like a big surprise.
Yeah,
He's a cowboy. Of course he can lasso.
of course it can last.
But he can. And when they find the possum on the farm, that was pretty
Mhm.
funny, I thought.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's a case of they could have done a lot more with the concept, but I
Mhm.
had fun enough with it. It's just like a standard basic dance movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I looked at it.
Yeah,
Like,
I enjoyed the dance part. I thought it was sweet. I didn't
yeah,
think there was like any real conflict except for the
no,
one that she created at the end, which again felt like,
yeah.
why do you even need it at this, it would be better without it. Like she should have
Yeah.
just admitted her feelings and he would have been like, me too. And then
Yeah.
that would have,
I could still probably watch it again though. Like I just
yeah.
thought they were so pleasant that I mean, so I'd give it like a three.
Yeah.
Three.
I'm probably a
Yeah.
two.
It was not as painful as some Hallmark movies. Maybe I was kind. All right, let's talk about Return to Office. After making the return to the office on a hybrid schedule, two coworkers known to each other only as Miss Monday and Mr. Tuesday start sending friendly notes, sparking an office romance. And this is director Peter Benson, writer Stephen J. Kung, McLean Nelson, stars Janelle Parrish and Scott Michael Foster. And what do you think of this one?
This was my number two.
Mm,
I loved the movie You've Got Mail back in the day.
yeah,
And this is a remake, a modern
yeah,
version of You've Got Mail.
yeah.
I really liked this one.
So You've Got Mail is actually based on an old play called the Perfumery. And the Perfumery has been retold many, many times. There was a famous version with Jimmy Stewart called The Shop Around the Corner. That's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
And then The Good Old Summertime is with Judy Garland. And then there's a musical on Broadway called She Loves Me, which had a revival fairly recently with Zachary Levi and Laura Benanti. That's the best. I love it so much. And then of course You've Got Mail, and it's just a story that works. It is a good story because the idea of people falling in love with their words is romantic. It's like inherently just works, and the idea that they are in love with each other but they hate each other in real life is that's a good dynamic. That's an entertaining setup. And so this I really did enjoy it. It actually might be my favorite of the four.
Wow. I could see why.
Maybe
Yeah.
I could also connect with it because I work from home for so long that there's like a little bit of sort of fantasy element in this. Like the idea, of it is very but I thought both these leads, I mean, Janelle Parrish is just killing it right now. I mean, I always liked her,
Yeah.
but she has been so good and picking such good projects.
Yeah.
Haunted Wedding was so good last fall. Sugar Plummed was so good. That was my favorite of all of last year. So she is doing a great job. And I thought both of them really sold this back and forth in the banter very well.
Yeah. I love Janelle. She was featured in the magazine that I used to write for years
Yeah.
ago. So she's I've got a soft spot in my heart for her
Yeah.
already. But yeah, I think she's fantastic in
Yeah.
this. I love the fact that, I mean, out of all the that storyline that you mentioned, I mean, to me, because I grew up in that era, it was like You've Got Mail was probably just my favorite. I like the
Oh,
part
yeah.
that the roles were reversed here, the gender roles were reversed here. So she was the one that was like trying to convince him to like her in real life, as opposed to
Oh,
like
yeah.
where it was Tom Hanks trying to
That's
convince
true.
Meg Ryan in that.
That's true. So and you get the the date situation, that like this really was like a true this hit all of those beats because there's a lot of ones that try to like do the letter writing but aren't really the perfumery story, but this one really was. I mean, they even had like the dates that and one of them knows and one of them doesn't know, and kind of things. They really had all of those moments.
And then she's like, I have to be a better person so that he can,
Uh-huh.
like she's accountable for where she's at, uh,
Yeah.
so that he can fall in love with her in real life, and he's the one that has to come around, and with the help
Well, and
of
I loved
mom.
all the dynamic with his mom at the senior
Yeah.
center, and then she gets to know them, and that whole back and forth was really cute. And both of these people are like such good people. Like you just want them to be together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed this from the very beginning. And it's so relatable because I think we're all at that point of like everybody got used to working from home and then what do? You take this merging
Yeah.
company and all these personalities and you throw them back into the office and everyone's like,
Yeah.
it is a different dynamic. So, and the
It was
idea.
all, yeah, it was also a good, interesting dynamic between her and this boss. Because
Mhm.
it's not like the boss was like outrightly like just a complete awful person, but he just kept doing like little things. I thought that was a pretty nuanced character that a lot of
Yeah.
people are going to be able to relate to. Because
Yeah.
the boss just keeps interrupting her, taking her ideas, and not giving her full credit, and she just keeps rolling along with it.
Yeah. I mean, but he wasn't terrible. Like
No, he wasn't a
he also
monster.
was like, I'm gonna, promote you, you'll be by my side. It was just basically if she was willing to sell her soul or not kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, am I gonna keep saying yes? Like he called her out on being a yes girl. It's like
yeah.
standing up
I
to
think a lot of people will be able to relate to that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
it definitely talked about, and I even liked how his mom pointed out at the end of the difference of like how easy he, as a creative, has had it growing up because he just gets to create, where she's like the border and she's got to work
Yeah,
within this and being a woman in the workplace,
yeah.
and so to be a little bit more understanding of her, and it was
And then
sweet.
I thought like bringing in the AI was really
Yeah.
effective
Yep.
because so the boss he like makes this logo with AI, and it's like this test of this of the moral character of our lead guy because it looks awful, it's horrible, and he is he going to have the guts to say no, this looks terrible, and then he does, and so it was like a guy boss moment standing up to AI.
Yeah,
Which
and
was
as an
nice.
artist, like that's been such a big thing. And it was
Yeah,
her choice at the end of like, does she, because she's more of an executive, so does she go along with the
yeah,
boss that she's been trying to, earn praise with, or does she, actually follow her heart
yeah.
in every sense and like
I think
go,
a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that.
yeah,
Yeah, they really
yeah,
will.
I
And
really like this
I
one.
liked how his mom says that live is the square, but you need the support to make the quilt. That was
Yeah.
cute.
It was, yeah,
Cute.
yeah. He ends up that, yeah, drawing, doing portraits at the
Yeah,
retirement home.
yeah,
It was very well done. It was a great story. The leads, they bounced off of each other really well.
yeah.
It was great.
This
I
is doing the perfumery for Hallmark, doing it well because they've
Yeah,
done it badly for some of them.
yeah.
This one, like there was one with Lacey Chabert and Andrew Walker a while back that I really hated.
Mm,
Um, that you have to keep your characters likable enough, that you're rooting for them, and that's hard when you have this conflict when they don't like each other, right? Is keeping them likable, and they do a very good job with this. I thought that I really enjoyed it, so I would give this one like 4.5.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I guess because I gave the other one a 4, this would be a 3.5. Unless the other one was a 4.5 and then this would
Oh,
be
there we
4.
go. Yeah, you
They're
could say
both they
that.
they both rate pretty high for me.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
both rate pretty high.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
So then our last one is we have Sisterhood Incorporated, and corporate exec Megan starts a board of directors to improve her younger sister's chaotic life and finds romance with a psych professor who uncovers her tough demeanor. And this stars Rachel Lee Cook and Leonidas Galapidis, and it's directed by Leslie Demetrius and written by Hilary Gallinoy and Elizabeth Hackett. And this one was very interesting. I'm still kind of processing it a little bit. It was so different for a Hallmark movie.
That's so interesting that you say it like that, because I kind of had the same feeling. I really don't know what to do with it yet. I like Rachel Lee Cook. I liked seeing her. I just like seeing her. So, but it was, I don't know. It didn't really, also in a weird way, even though it's different, it didn't stand out in any way. There wasn't anything about it that jumped out at me that made me go, I really like this.
It made me almost wish that this was a mini series instead. You know, like we could have spent like a day with each of these goals for Izzy and her life. You almost wish that the movie had been about Izzy and not from Rachel Cook's perspective. I forget her name. But the Izzy was an interesting character. And it was interesting because she's such a mess. But like for a Hallmark movie to have somebody because usually business is the villain. And so for them to turn her life into business is very odd for a Hallmark story.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for I don't know, for Rachel Lee Cook's character to kind of learn that she was overstepping, but she didn't really that much. And if anything, she's kind of like offended of like, why would you go against the corporation and not even ask for the advice? And there was this back and forth between the two of them. And it's finally the mother who's like, I love you both equally. You're both great. And they're able to kind of come to a resolution. But it was just a strange story to have this person's life be taken over by business and that be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it in that. I just weirdly found it to be like not really memorable. There wasn't, I mean, apart from that, there really wasn't anything in it that I was like, it kind of blended in with everything for me. It just got lost, and I was just like, okay, it's fine.
I did think that this guy was super dreamy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
like they
absolutely.
didn't need this to be a romance. It could have just been about the sisters and would have been fine. But like this guy, like I want to see him in more because he was really good, I thought.
True. Yes. That might have been like the most memorable part of it. Yeah. I don't know why it was just underperformed for me. I mean, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't like the Wish swap, which I was just totally disappointed in. It was fine. It was just felt a little bit lackluster of like, I'm not quite sure what exactly was missing from it for me, but
I liked the idea of like this kind of fun group of people like commenting on her and her sister's lives, and like them all that was kind of a fun dynamic. I thought that was a fun group of actors that they had together. And I'm a sucker for stories about sisters because I have 3 sisters myself. And so I did like the core heart of like their conflict and how hard it can be sometimes to understand our family. You know, we love our family, but it can also be really hard and like the thing about family is that like oftentimes you're asked to be in a relationship with somebody that you would never choose on your own. You got like, just as far as like if I'm looking for a friend group, like I would never pick certain members of my family, not because they're bad people, just we're just so different, and we just wouldn't choose to be friends. And so, but like they're in your life and they're not going away. So you have to figure out a way to peacefully exist with.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I
good, yeah.
So I think the sibling dynamic is especially kind of interesting because you can't divorce. I mean, unless things are really bad, you can't really divorce, your family. They're in
Yeah.
your life, and so I think that I liked that kind of dynamic. But yeah, it felt like a pilot to a show, but I would want to see a little bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I again, I'll go back to like where you're like, I'm still processing it. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of because when you separate all the ideas, just like kind of how you broke it down, I do like the idea of like business isn't the bad guy and
Uh-huh.
the sibling relationship. I mean, those are like that on its own should make for an interesting, at least different watch for Hallmark. But
Yeah.
um. Yeah, I
I
kind of
think
wanted a little
I
more from it.
I think I would give this also give it a 3.
Okay.
Because I liked enough of it
Yeah.
to like I had an okay time watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd give it a 3.
I'd probably say like 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not too far off, but
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah,
I was like I'm kind of indifferent about it,
yeah.
which
I
says,
I get that.
okay. Yeah.
But I would say to Hallmark, like keep trying new things. Like we
Yeah.
don't always need to have it be a romantic story, like a story between two sisters. That
True.
I think your audience can handle that.
Yeah, I would want to
It's
encourage
okay.
that too. I do love the different stories and I do love the risks that Hallmark is taking, has been taking. I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I'll
Yeah.
welcome more of it.
Well, let us know what you think of all 4 of these movies. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. And I would say The Return to Office was my favorite. You would say an Unexpected Valentine, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let us know what your favorite is. And thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast. I really appreciate it. And if people want to follow you, everything you do, how do they do that?
Oh, yes, I am on Instagram under the Savvy Scribbler, and TikTok more now. So, Sari_tales.
Oh, great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast on Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That's the quickest and cheapest way that you can help us is leaving those reviews on iTunes. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group, which is the biggest way you can financially support us. And we try to make it very worth your while. We have patron watch-alongs. We've had Leslie Demetriadis. She did a watch-along. We've had Lacey Chabert came on once. So you get to be part of really cool watch-alongs as part of being a member of the Patreon. And then other benefits, you get to be a member of our Facebook group and other things. So please take a look at that. And then we have our merch store where we have tons of Hallmark inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.